Bro, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm more like where you're at mentally,
Hey,
in my brain.
yeah.
Like the past 30, at least 30 days, yeah, 30 days now, I've been literally staring at the markets for like 10 hours a day. Not that that's like an amazing thing or anything, but like just back testing like different shit all day, bro. Like ordering food to this hotel room and just staring at candlesticks all fucking day. And
Facts.
it's pretty fucking or not emotionally draining, but like cognitively draining.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm just really trying to fucking figure it all out and like get crystal clear on like everything.
Yeah.
Um, I have been going through so many different things, like really going hard on like domes, higher time frames, lower time frames, using fib circles, going back to anchored VWAP, looking at recently a lot of like how price interacts with new session highs and also like power of three and how incredibly powerful that is within the market as well.
Facts.
Um yeah. First of all, what's your thoughts there? I think my head is fucking a bit all over the place, but
Yeah.
it's all like,
That is
yeah.
it's good stuff, bro. Like I think yeah, it's fire for I'll say like for me and like communication because that's lit, but
Mm,
as in like just efforts towards like making money from the stuff. Um if it's not to make a strategy for yourself and like figure out that most efficient thing, then it does start to become like a daunting process because you just go a long way around why certain things are even made. Like, why is the VWAP or why is
mm.
this, you know? It's
It has been to develop a strategy because I feel that with like a lot of the dome stuff, it was when I was using it, it was like because I know it works and it clearly works,
yeah, cool.
but for my brain, it's like I have to take like the win rate is not always the best, and I find if I can find a strategy that the win rate is like really high, but maybe the risk to reward isn't as good, but it can give me those consistent wins. Um, that is like much better for my mental. So that's kind of what I've been trying to find, something that is got like a really high win rate. Because when I'm like taking a lot of losses consecutively, my mental just goes, oh fuck this, like this doesn't work. And then I like jump to a new strategy.
I understand exactly what you're talking about. And this happens a lot whenever we enter new market like deliveries because like
Mm,
market's moving in a certain pattern for could do that for a few months. Then there's this transitioning period where it's like, all right, well, what the fuck is it doing now? Because it's not doing
mm,
what it used to do, and
mm,
we're in this like gray phase to where we're trying to figure out what we're trying to get into. And then yeah, that new strategy will slap until you catch on to something else again. So
yeah.
this is what like trading experience ends up doing to your brain, where you have certain market rotations and experiences that you get to store and then you get to keep it. So every time something happens, you're like, all right, is it this one? No. All right, is it this one? No. And then eventually it puts you in that headspace. I think the biggest thing that I've got on a technical takeaway, and since we study the same stuff, I think it's like super beneficial to the brain
Mm.
is this, and I don't want to steer like too far away from the things you might want to be talking about, but uh,
No, this is good because yeah, I think that's because I've now come to the realization that there's a million strategies that work and there's a million ways to make $1 million in the markets. It's just which one fits best for you and which one fits best for the current cycle or the current market conditions that we're in right now.
Facts.
And I think that's also what's quite difficult for me right now as like a starting off in my journey is like switching brains constantly. Okay. Oh, right. Well, we're in a distribution phase right now. Okay, so these models will work the best. Okay, now we're in a consolidation, so this ranging model is going to work best. And just flicking between those is like kind of cooking my head, and I'm trying to find one strategy that I can just kind of like what you found with the domes. I'm trying to find one strategy that I can just use all year no matter what market rotation we're in, but I can be clever enough to be like, okay, this is not A plus, this is not the market condition I'm looking for, so let's not trade today.
Right. That makes sense. There's a there's a lot of variables to it, and it's all dependent on what do you use as your condition. Like this acronym is goated, bro. Like what we've made back in Malaysia is like nothing is outside of this, it's all this.
Mm,
Um, and this is how I've been able to like sit down and like really make any strategy and figure out like what is the market grabbing on right now. And when we talk about having one strategy to really rock with the entire time, I think that is like, let's say, I don't know what the word would be, but an entrepreneur makes business and they just always believe like there's just one part of the business that is what will excel them through. They're like, bro, like my business is just trash because like I just need more leads. You know what I mean? But
mm,
if we did fix that and we got more leads, and that's that one thing that you think you would use every time, leads is the hard part. And then once you have more leads than you can handle, you're just happy with what your system can get through. That doesn't mean you're actually handling all of the leads at once and actually like, successfully converting all of them. You're just trying to make up for the fact that your business systems aren't as efficient. So the leads will filter through it and still get you the outcome with volume instead of, actual like efficiency, if that makes sense.
yeah.
And this is just a hypothesis, right, of the thought process because we're on the same boat in the mind. And it's really cool because I just talked to Bray yesterday, and that dude led down the same questions that we went into in Malaysia and all this stuff. And now, speaking to him, bro, I didn't have to do none of the stuff we did in Malaysia. I was just like, yo, this is this, this is this, this is this. And it just went like that. And it was just like having an answer for everything that actually sits in the brain and says, oh, okay, that works.
Mm,
So that being said, yeah, just trying to get that one thing as the layer and your brain super fixated on that one thing because we believe it's a solution. It's
yeah.
kind of like yeah, it's a mind trap, and it becomes very difficult to be okay with what you have because you feel like something like that does exist. When in reality, like what that actually is a conglomerate of like this other stuff as a process. Um, so that being said, like when it comes down to making like the strategies and wanting to use something year round, if we took that outside of the chart and just turned it into you and your brain and what you've studied, sometimes that for me is just me. Like I have to sit down and realize like I have put enough hours into this shit. I have seen that this works and that works. Now, how can I wait for exactly what I know I should be waiting for and just be okay with that execution? And that be the thing that I'm looking for. And
Mm,
for the past two market rotations, like I've gotten better. And this last rotation with like tariff recovery, that was like the easiest market to trade, which is a bull market for most people. So let me do a little mind like brain dump. There's a few
just
brain.
be
Yeah.
quickly, just before you go into that, you mentioned something there about um like trying to find something that doesn't necessarily exist. Could you
Yeah.
just quickly explain that?
Yeah, like um let's see.
Where my mind thought that was like going, I'm trying to find something that is like the secret key to the market, which is like 100% success rate.
Um, nah, I wouldn't say it's like 100% that. I mean, my brain doesn't even think like that anymore. Not like, because you have to know that there's definitely going to be failures for sure. But
Mm,
I think the part of it is more like just knowing that you're always going to get the outcome you want in the end. You know, most business or where I was going with that is, let's say the world every vehicle in the world operates off of gas. And then you got Elon Musk that's like, nah, we can make electric for sure. And then, the rest of the world tells them, like, nah, there's probably not really a thing we can do until we started doing solar panels. And then eventually it started to become something. And then eventually he made it into something. And that is what a genius is. That's what like an innovator is, someone who actually invented something for themselves. So it takes someone to have a vision of using things that aren't normally used to create something that no one would have thought about thinking of, you know? And the reason I say it like that is because you are trying to learn all of the stuff in the market. And then after that, you're looking at what fuels plays, what is the indicators that will actually allow us to say, okay, this is now the change in characteristics that the market is moving from a delivery market to like a consolidating market or something. And there's so many different financial indicators, but there's no actual like resource in the world that this thing really uses, you know? So if we were thinking about science and stuff, we would be able to come up with the aspect and say, oh yeah, okay, this plus this equals that. But the market has interchangeable like energy variables. So you never know what is the driving factor of the movement. And we love to think that volume is that and volatility. And that is 100% true, but it works in a weird equation. So if you look at the equation for volume and volatility for markets, like it's interchangeable because either people could start it or people get instigated to do it, and you can't rely on the people itself. So in the simple terms of it all is using any of these strategies on a technical level, you're gonna build something that isn't even counting like the world inside of it, and that variable is just like is practically impossible because it doesn't only work on technical and trading. You know what I mean?
mm.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people have been going mad trying to get this technical stuff figured out and not doing enough study on the order flow deliveries or the economic situation and what this thing is valued towards. There's a really big chat we could have on the topic of um, value driver because,
Because my brain was like, oh, it's all technical because I have been thinking like that because it's just one big algorithm and the algorithm has to do what the algorithm has to do.
right.
So if I find something that is congruent with how the algorithm works and I can just take that trade every day or every week, that's what I'm searching for.
It's true. That's exactly what the fuck we've been designing. And it's good for us to think this way, but we're like almost 80% delusional on the idea that it is an algorithm doing this at all times, which A does allow us to rely on the things that we rely on. But then we do end up in the market where that algorithm is now the cogs are being, they're not running as efficiently as we want them to, which then elongates a lot of the strategies, you know. And that comes from the value driver because when the machine is supposed to do exactly what it's supposed to do, algorithms running it. We're moving so algorithmically. But then when there's nothing, the workload goes down and we didn't change the settings on it. Now you got this thing like pumping really hard, but we're not even looking for this kind of output. So it's not allowed to really do much or do what it's designed to do. And that goes into the value driver. So it's like it is happening somewhere. and what we do is we only stick to the NASDAQ, which is good for us to learn and develop these things. But if there's a strategy that you already have and you want to see only that thing, sometimes you have to go find something that is in the value driving state in order to continue using that strategy every single day. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
that's why people do screeners on companies. Like if a new company comes out and they're going to disrupt the space, this is a delivery that will try to find its value. And all of
mm.
our strategies will work in that delivery phase. But the moment that value is equated in the auction market, that algorithmic strategy that we've used to get there is done, and we need to go find the next value driver. But we don't switch that. We stay on NASDAQ. So now we get stuck between delivery and rebalancing, and we don't really prepare for rebalancing, you know? Does
What do you like all so in this case you're saying that let's say there's not going to be a cookie cutter strategy that you can use all year round.
Yeah.
That's so with like all these influencers and all like TJR strategy and all that bullshit, is that are they changing up strategies or are they just like how does that work? How are they those guys like printing money? I
Yeah,
know that's like a loaded question, but
yeah, there's a few bubbles that exist in it. So, like a lot of these dudes don't just trade one thing, like just the NASDAQ.
mm,
So most of them do trade like Forex pairs and stuff, which allows like the Japanese dollar versus, whatever, Chinese or US, which gives them multiple pairs for the states of delivery,
mm,
which helps that. Again, some of them trade gold and ES and NASDAQ, which could all have other states delivery. So that's one thing, which is like trading different stuff. Two is they also trade a particular like setup of delivery. So they don't trade every single day and they don't watch the market for 10 hours a day trying to trade everything they see. There's only a certain time of day where they're looking for a London low sweep with a fucking change characteristic, retrace into the fair value gap delivery, and that setup might only happen on a Tuesday this week.
mm,
And then they will load that, and that's their successful trade for the week or sometimes even the month, and the rest of it is just content game. So they're the trader who's showing you the last 5 years of their recordings of successful trades, even though there's no trade today, because that delivery is what made them 10, $20,000 this month as a one-time whole trade versus me trading the 1 second chart all day for 2 hours. You know what I mean?
mm.
Yeah, so it's a lot of variables. Um,
Yeah.
that's how technically trading's supposed to be done in industry standard is by, picking that one setup that will work sometime this month, this week, or, things like that and stack it over time.
Mm. Yeah, it's a funny one, bro. It's funny because it's like bro, I've put so much time into like because I fully have belief that there's this like one strategy that's just gonna smash every time, you know? And I've I've been like filtering through all the market, all the time frames, and being like, okay, let's try this, and then I'll go to back testing and I'll try it, and then okay, that one's 20K down over the month. Okay, let's try something else, and then I found this one thing that every time I use it, I go up like 25, 50K in like a couple weeks, and I keep trying to keep trying to keep trying it, and then it keeps printing every month on back testing. And then I go on to onto like my accounts and then I'm taking the same trades, but they're just not like cooking the same. I'm like, what? How is this possible? Like I'm using this on different months, on different time frames, and it's slapping every single time. I'm like,
Nice.
how is this even possible?
Yeah, no, I dig it, bro. Trust me. We sat down on one of them that we had. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, so I'll say like again, it goes back to this like idea of the state of mind that we end up putting ourselves in because we want that piece. And that goes into a nice little fucking, we'll talk about this stuff as well in a minute, but this Venn diagram kind of perspective is really big. And for me, it's because part of us just wants to fucking make money, you know?
Mm,
And then the other part of us really loves the algorithmic side of this stuff, and we do enjoy doing it. And when we can build something that does make money, we get this like crossover. And that crossover leads us to believe that there's a system out there that may be efficient enough to just do it at all times. When sometimes we in our life, not in trading, but in our life, need to make money, or we need to rely on the system for what, you know? So as an entrepreneur, if you're not getting a paycheck every month because of the work you're putting in, it makes you feel like if you don't make money, then the work you've been doing is just shit. So like
mm.
you're wasting your time, you're not doing this thing. So now these are separated. Now you have a hobby of strategies that don't make money. Or you'll be doing some other shit where you didn't really try that hard, you just kind of were following some flow and you made some money. But those things don't coincide, right? So
Bro, that's so facts.
it's like if you took a year and broke it into seasons, bro, this is a season and it happens to fucking all of us very frequently. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bro, it's exactly that. Like, see when you you've got 10 times, maybe 100 times more knowledge than you used to, and you made 10 times as much money a few months ago than you are now. You can't make shit work now, but you fucking understand this thing better than you ever have. It's like, am I just like, what's going on, you know?
Yeah, bro. You end up putting yourself in a fucking insane asylum, bro. And now
Facts.
so I say all that to say like the biggest key that has helped me at least just be fucking consistent and cut off those phases is to not be above the work. And the work isn't necessarily like what we what we stroke, you know? And what I mean by that is like some dude, there's a guy out there that probably, I don't know if you know one, but I know a few who go to the gym every fucking day and they just don't look any different,
Mm,
you know? And it's because they're fascinated with the idea of the work, but they're not actually doing the right work that would, you know, deliver the result. Um, so when we,
absolutely.
yeah, so when we do this on trading, that also is to a degree the same where you know you've got yourself here to do certain amount of bench press here, but like this plateau is coming from what? Have you fallen in love with the idea of just lifting this particular weight and it challenges you enough to make you feel like you're doing it, but it doesn't do enough for you to actually progress towards anything, you know? And that becomes the hard part of the journey because now it makes you feel like, okay, then what the fuck am I supposed to do? Because I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. So half of it comes from literally doing less, you know, and doing less as in when it comes to trading, just doing the strategy on an execution level where this is what I know works with these, you know, increments like the acronym itself. And then just letting the trade do what it's supposed to do. And then
Mm,
on a study level, you at some point when you go too far into technicals, you have to reel back and go study the economics of it. And not just economics of like the country itself, but what's the logistics of this experience, you know? And that is usually really super refreshing because it helps understand that like the algorithm, although it's involved, there's a few key indicators here that would help take your next trade and hold it, you know. Um, so for example, let's say today we have the Fed meeting taking place and something from that meeting happens. Economically, you know that this is an indicator that you would normally take. So whenever you do find your buy button and you press it, you'll let the trade ride and deliver all day because you've studied economics to know that that's just what it would do. And you won't get in the way from the algorithm sense and say, oh, but this is where the algorithm takes it down because who gives a fuck if it's not worried about that. It's trying to deliver price, you know?
mm.
And getting yourself into that and building that guy up stronger than the algorithm guy in your mind. Because that algorithm dude in your mind just sees a whole lot of reasons why everything should do everything, and it's not really geared towards, well, it has to do this,
And I guess that's why risk management is there in the first place, because shit's gonna be in economic cycles. There's gonna be external factors that are gonna affect your strategies.
Mm.
So you can't always expect, okay, if this does this and it looks A plus, even if it's A plus, it still has a chance of not doing the thing, you know?
Right, yeah. And whether the thing is elongated delivery, where eventually it does, you just didn't wait long enough, or blah, blah, like that's where the brain again needs to be built up like properly. We can't have one side just fully loaded and then we don't know nothing about the other side. Because that's where you end up like the dude that goes to the gym all the time and
Order
does.
filled.
Shit, sorry.
I know worries. So yeah, so that being said, like all in all, like the real is making sure that you're lifting up all pillars and not just like one. So seeking for the key strategy after you've literally obtained so much of this knowledge of great technicals that work already is very difficult to do without studying like the other stuff. And I know you study how other people operate as well, but that also corresponds with technicals, when you study the philosophy of hedge funds and their risk management strategies, it's still a technical, and
Mm,
that's more on the finance side. So yeah, I really think it'd be refreshing for you to go on a binge of just studying like the economics of it and just get obsessed with the system and its logistics. And you will see just how much similarities there are between technicals and every system that literally exists in the world. Um, and that again takes your mind off of trying to find the key and just understanding that, oh, okay, if this makes sense, right? Like if uh if war happens, then money goes to war stocks. Like if Martin makes weapons and Raytheon Technologies makes missiles, then there's no need of a technical. You just press the button over there because you know the economic situation. So that helps me understand like, okay, sometimes things will just move because the catalyst said so, and that takes me away from like the one ultimate key algorithmic system on something that's truly built off of delivering value for an economy.
mm.